Wait, this isn't right. Hello everyone, my name is Uthris and welcome back to another episode of Vintage Story Hardcore, where we get to try and survive in this dangerous setting here. Oh, it is June. It's the 7th of June already on our save, and it's a little bit of a busy time for us. So, what's going on is that between the episodes, we're actually getting some ripe fruit on some of these trees. So I'm going to want to start storing these and process them down into wine for long-term hydration and food storage. Other little things I've taken up between the episodes is that I went ahead and added a little bit of a visual wooden stockpile detail just here for the charcoal kilns, and then a little bit of a wood chopping area. I do want to have a firewood shed here that can hold as much firewood fully stocked to run one of these kilns, so that I kind of know how much I need and then just throw it in there kind of deal. So that's what I'm excited for. Maybe a little sign that'll kind of do the math and just so I don't have to constantly remember how many logs do I need to make a 3x3x3 charcoal pit run. But yeah, it's gonna be cherry press season. First things though, go ahead and harvest our honey, as it looks like it's been 3 days yet again from my last harvest. Add some pathing in through with the flowers, which looks nice. Wonderful. Okay. Let's just squeeze all this honey down. Put in my mead barrel. Here. We need to make some barrels for some wine storage. I know I have apple, pear, and cherry near me. I think I have a couple variants in apple, so I might need 4 barrels down here to start storing some wine. I would look into making a keg, which is part of the hydration mod, but that thing I think requires iron, which I still don't have any iron. Still no iron. So let's get some barrels made. That's just sticks and planks. That's easy enough. We'll drop the honey off. On the way up. Here we'll use maple, I suppose. Saw that there was a devlog recently for the game that they kind of showed off. Now you guys can kind of see the time difference between recording episodes and releasing them. But they just showed off some preview of potentially having the ceramics, depending on the clay that you're using and how it's fired in the beehive kiln, come out with different colors. So base vessels will have color variations and such. So let's put this cherry in here. Okay. And I harvested some cherries already. They were over here. I just happened to be running by for some peat. So we're going to go ahead and press these down. So it looks like it takes about 32 cherries to fill up a bucket. Nice. I really like the press. It's a pretty cool mechanic. Okay, it's fully pressed. We'll release that. Add that to there. Take out the mash, which we'll just feed our animals with. The mash doesn't last very long, but if you go out there and just kind of drop it on the ground near your animals, you don't even have to feed animals in troughs, technically. They'll chomp them up real quick. So these are only good for 2 days. Even if I store them, I mean, they go up to 6 days, so I'll put it in there for now. Boop, boop. What's in here? Anything? No. Another 8 liters or so of berries. Maybe we'll make a little winery eventually. And actually have some orchards replanted around our base. But for now, I'm fine with just having everything kind of here in the cellar. Oh man, the swirly bit's kind of tracking me a little weird. But we'll see. I also need to actually build support soon for the aqueducts. Also. So much stuff to do on our to-do list. And this is just building and making the base look nice. Not even really progressing just yet. I could find out where the Resonance Archive is, though. Potentially. Is it the survival goods guy or another one? You know what? We need to go over here and check out this abandoned mine as well. Maybe we'll do that in a couple episodes. Maybe that's like the next goal we should, big goal we should shoot for beyond building. Let's go into that abandoned mine. All right, I've decided. I need some proper animal pens because not only do I want pigs, I need to get the sheeps from the mountains over there into here. I need to potentially get goats so we can start making cheese. Let's get started on that. Let's see. Pie. Good old pie. I'm gonna have to harvest some crops here soon. I think our next batch is ready. I want to do a whole block or a half block. I'll probably do a whole block just simply for room for carving. Well, it might be cheaper to just do a half block. Do a half. So let's run the floor here. That means this lower area is going to be 2.5 tall, which will be big enough to put our elk in here, though I wouldn't ride my elk in and out. I'll probably have to like have a rope or something, because that will probably look a little bit cleaner. But for our other animals, I'm really just excited to get started with a little bit of a bigger animal pen over here. The boars, while are comfortable in their little square pen, I think having a male space and then the females out here will be good. And then we'll have a male ram and the females out here. And then we'll just kind of mix them when they're kind of ready to breed. Personally, I find that to be the easiest thing to do. Alright, now that that's kind of on, I just want to see how enclosed this feels. Not that bad. Not that bad. I like this kind of dug in, like this earthen barn design. It's pretty cool to do this. Trying to make the build to kind of match the terrain as much as possible, I think is a really good goal to have when you're constructing stuff. Obviously, you can go crazy and have like this huge master plan with you know, like a castle, courtyard, a town, city, and everything. But I tend to build things a little bit more on the homestead size of things. And then also, I build a little bit more organically, a little less central planning at the moment, and I want to see like a progression of technology almost with my build. Floor is in. Got just enough planks to do that. Lovely. The boar is in his pen. He'll be contained. I need to dig out the marquee of dirt here. In terms of this door, I made a 2x3 or two 3 tall doors, which will work well for us. Come here. Running low on arrows. Supplies. So, how do I want this to work? It's going to be kind of the question. Probably do one more layer of stone over the top here. Just kind of get this foundation up one block. And then I'll chisel some wooden slabs on top of this so that you can't see the lower floor between. I need some cobblestone here. Make sure that looks right. Yep. Get the fence to the ceiling, I think. This look nicer. Then I should have a shovel. To dig out and replace this fence. And then I'll have to go gather more materials, probably, for this thing. And I'll leave it up to you guys long term if we want to put a stone fence underneath and then a wood fence on top, just so we can get a 2 tall fence. It may not be required, depending. I might end up having to move these troughs forward, though. Just so, like, they can't really climb up on top of that to get that over the fence. I was thinking about putting these under like a little shelter thing, maybe at some point, just so it doesn't look like they can get rained into. guardian. Yeah, I'm a little... These guys do kind of slap. Nice, kind of rusty gear out of that one. Oh, sniped. Probably not a good thing. Work is done. Let's do a quick cleanup on stuff. Drink some awesome berry juice. Man, a lot of drones. Store that. Can't store any powder here. Running low on inventory space. Which is why I'm excited to get this storage barn up and running. Alright, rustic here and here. Dust in there, jute fiber in here. Hang our saw, temporal gear in the temporal gear chest. Okay. 11 years of soybeans. There. are getting closer and closer to a successful little storage barn here. Got some of the walls up, working on some of the roofing now. Gonna have a little bit of an interesting roofing detail, I think, that I don't think I've built any structure with it specifically in the past, but if you take a look at some kind of countryside structures, that's a little too tall now that I am looking at it. We'll go with that. Get the little roof piece on. Is you'll find these raised little window pieces. So I'm going to be chiseling this away. I'm just looking to see if it's the right height. It looks like the right height. I don't know if these are made here for ventilation purposes, but they tend to have kind of large windows on the sides, a little bit of a roof section, and they just kind of stick up on the main peak of the roof here. I don't know necessarily what they're called either. They're not like a widow's walk or anything like that. I'm sure they have another technical name that I'm just not aware of, but we'll try our best to make something like it. I've been chiseling a little bit, chiseling in some brickwork around the foundation and everything. So it's coming along, you know. The interior is gonna take probably a few episodes to get straightened out and fully decorated. Not only a little bit of windows along the interior, but maybe some hatches on the loft when we get to that point. But first things first, I want to try and make this thing. Just to see if I can. And give you guys a little bit of chiseling footage. We all like chiseling here on the channel. I still haven't made a chisel tool mod item, the pantograph, so that I can copy chisel shapes around. But I think this will suffice just fine, since all we're doing is a hollow shape with some windows on either side. Which I may not know the depth of the windows until I have the full shape here. Something I did some testing, by the way, now that I'm kind of chiseling. Did some testing with the chimney over there, and if you have a chiseled block like this underneath the chimney will light up too. So you can still have a single block wide chimney. Right now over there I have to have the half block standing up and the inside completely hollow, but if you do something like this, it'll actually light the chimney still. So feels a little too wide. Just do something a little bit more simple. Being on a roof, I'm on the tallest building during potentially a lightning storm coming through. That's a very good thing. Just want to get this in here as quickly as possible. Throw a little roof on it. Might need to be something in addition to this. I don't know. I had to refer to some imagery. I might do some detailing with maybe some support beams or something. It also looks a little thin, a little too dainty. So I might end up having to do something like this, how this chimney is, has a half block standing up on the outside, and keep the inside center. That way it takes up a little bit more room, but that's kind of what I'm going for here. I think also should have some more shingles ready. Been running a couple kilns worth. Here we are at the end of August, year 2, we actually have the outside of this building done. And the internals still has some work to do, and I'm sure this might change a little bit over time as you progress through our save, but I'm fairly happy with the way this little storage barn and shelter turned out. So we'll go ahead and run through the gambit on just kind of design decisions and things that I might want to change if I had to build it again. Firstly, I should have centered this door. It's bothering me that it's not centered. I could probably maybe try and see if there's like a 3-wide door that I could find. Though I'm pretty sure those don't exist without some mods. So that's something that's going to be a little off about this. However, you know, it's believable. The barn is an earthen barn, so all this stuff is kind of underground. And so maybe they just didn't want to dig out into the slope any more than we did. But our elk is going to go here when we have our elk mount. That's why we need this double door, so the elk can easily get in and out. Then we can hop on it. The pins themselves are decently spacious. I do need to go in and decorate. I do want to throw in some like dirt and mud and things in the pig pen. That way it looks a little bit more pig specific. The other pin here is kind of small for sheep, in my opinion. We'll see if we end up expanding this once we get a few sheep, but I don't expect to have many of them anyways, because there's just, outside of milk and meat, there's not much use for sheep in the vanilla game. So, you know, I think for now we'll be focusing on our pigs for the meat supply, fat, and hides. So all that turns out good. Other things that I want to do long term is, you know, I need some cross members down here to hold up the floor. That way it doesn't feel quite unsupported. So that'll be things I'm going to be trying to add, I think, in the future. I want some bit more ivy too on the stonework. Get out of the way, pig. So I might try and add some more of that. And I love the fact that it changes colors through the seasons here. Added a little bit of support beams just for visual break on the side of the walls. Added small narrow windows at the first floor to prevent thievery, larger windows on the second floor, and I do like the little tower effects at the top there. I don't know what I would call those, but the interior is pretty bare. I don't have any crates in here, any chests. I did do a little bit of chiseling with the loft. I do love making planks that you can see through in lofted floors. I just think it feels a little bit more rustic if you do that. And we'll be adding some cross members out of larch to hold up that floor eventually, because, you know, without it, it looks a little thin and weak, especially since they're running lengthways on the building. If they ran sideways, you might be able to get away with maybe just like a couple thick posts, but we'll see what we get with that. A couple lanterns up here just to light the whole area up. Up there you can kind of see the vents to the ceilings. We got some doors here. I'll probably build some sort of crane pulley looking thing so that it looks like we can actually get things in and out of the loft via these entryways up here if we so choose. A little bit of fence work, you know, just some nice stuff. These windows up here, no glass or anything, we're just using hatches. Has a nice solid little window piece. Very airy in that sense. Windows, I was a little torn on using windows on this just because it does limit your storage capacity. Less windows, more wall space, more storage. But I think for a guy living by himself, this is going to be plenty of storage for us. At least I hope so. If it's not, then I got other problems going on. But yeah, it fits fairly well. It's nice to see the map kind of get another structure here also. The fact that it's right here transitioning through by the beehives and the flowers, and then the pathway back over to the charcoal pits. Yeah, I just think it adds something. I'm a little iffy on the larch planks. Honestly, this might be a little too bright looking, but sometimes you just gotta build it and deal with the consequences. So yeah, it's looking pretty good. One thing that I do want to change, I want to see if I can get some more support beams in here. I don't know if I want a couple X's, maybe a couple triangle shapes in these larger square sections. Something to maybe break this up. This is a little too square for me, but I don't know. But yeah, now we can start hopefully storing things in bulk. So we'll get some chests in here, some crates in here, and then we can have a lot of building materials stored in a nice safe spot. I might want to look at adding a lightning rod maybe on this spire here, just for safety reasons. Because when I was up there doing the roof and seeing lightning off in the distance, boy, that was a little scary. So you can build a lightning rod that'll attract lightning in the area to hit that instead. Also, that'll hopefully protect our animals down here from getting hit by lightning, and it'll hit the top of this building also. And these peaks are a little bit raised up, so it might be a little bit more safe. Who knows? Maybe I'm inviting trouble by risking lighting kind of striking close to us. Final plans, I think. Obviously, I'll be working on filling this in, but I need to get back on the magic grind a little bit up next. Need to get the spell forge up and running, potentially start making some grimoires for spells, and then after our next harvest, our fall harvest is coming up here in the next couple in-game months, where we get some more parsnips, onions, spelt, and a whole bunch more flax. I would really like to get maybe some gambescent armor created, because we've been building for so long, it feels. I really want to explore this abandoned mine up here. I still haven't found iron, and I would really like to get into the Iron Age. And if I have to go explore an abandoned mine to do it, I'd really like to. So magic and maybe a little bit exploration coming up. And then the next building, I really need a windmill. Grinding flour by hand is starting to get a little old for my pie making, but I think if I get a windmill here by the farm, that would be really useful. And that's it. Yeah, this is where we're at, you know? Still a whole bunch to do. I haven't even started the main story or anything like that. I've been, it seems like all season, all summer, barn raising. The summer barn raising series going on. So if you guys enjoyed the build, feel free to subscribe, hit that like button, become a member today, support the channel, and we'll see you all in the next episode of Vintage Story, where hopefully we keep surviving. I don't know how I'm doing it. Normally I die, but see you in the next one.